$155,110. That's the number sitting in my savings account right now. Every extra shift. Every skipped vacation. Every time I said no to dinner with friends for the last 9 years. That's what it added up to. 155 grand. I called my brother in Iowa last Tuesday to tell him. I thought he'd be proud. I thought he'd say something like, "Dude, that's huge, you finally did it." Instead there was this long pause. And then he goes, "Wait. That's your down payment? That is 3/4 of my entire house. Cash. You're putting down more money than my whole mortgage was when I bought." I sat there staring at my phone. Because he wasn't joking. He was doing the math out loud in real time. And the number he landed on at the end of that call, the actual gap between what my California down payment buys me and what it would buy him 3 states away, is so much worse than a house versus a house. It's a number that changes how you think about the last decade of your life. And by the time we get to it, you're going to be doing the same math about your own city. Because if you live in a coastal state right now, there is a very specific dollar figure that describes exactly how much of your life you are handing over just for the right to sleep somewhere with a roof. I just didn't know it was this specific. Here's what we all already know. California is expensive. Iowa is cheap. Groundbreaking, right? Everybody says it. Every moving out of California video on YouTube opens with it. And it's true. It really is. Homes cost more here. Gas costs more here. A grocery run that runs my brother $60 runs me $110. Nobody's arguing with that part. But here's what the California is expensive story leaves out. It gets treated like a lifestyle choice. Like paying more for beach weather. Like a premium you're choosing to pay for good weather and good sushi. That framing is wrong. And it's not just a little wrong. There is a specific hidden number underneath the headline cost of living gap that turns California is expensive from an inconvenience into something closer to a wealth transfer. A number that means if you're renting in Los Angeles or San Diego or the Bay Area right now, you are not saving up slower than your cousin in Cedar Rapids. You are running a completely different race, on a completely different track, and nobody told you at the starting line. And it applies directly to you if you've ever opened Zillow at midnight and wondered if you should just leave. Which brings me back to the phone call. So I did what any reasonable person does after their little brother emotionally demolishes them on a Tuesday night. I opened a spreadsheet. I started with the median home price. Because if we're going to compare apples to apples, we need the same fruit. The typical home sold in California right now goes for $775,549. Translate that. At the median California wage, that house costs a buyer roughly 7.5 to 8 full years of gross household income. Not take home. Gross. Every dollar, before taxes, before rent, before groceries, for nearly 8 years, handed over for one house. The typical home in Iowa? $212,400. That is not half the price. That is barely a quarter of the price. My brother's house, the whole house, the driveway, the yard, the garage he keeps promising to clean out, costs barely more than what I have to put down just to be allowed to sign a mortgage on something smaller and older 2,000 miles away. I texted him a screenshot of the Zillow listing I'd been eyeing. 2-bedroom. Built in 1954. Needs a new roof. $820,000. He sent back a photo. His actual house. 4 bedrooms. Finished basement. Big backyard with a swing set his kids don't use anymore. Caption, paid $210 in 2021. Refinanced at 3%. I put my phone face down on the table. And here's the thing. The house price gap is not even the worst part. It's not even close to the worst part. There is a second number, one that has nothing to do with the sticker price of the home, that quietly doubles the damage. And once I found it, I understood why my brother's house feels paid off even though it isn't. Because Californians make more money. Everybody knows that too, right? The median household income in California is $99,122. In Iowa it's $75,059. So Californians earn about 32% more. In real dollars, that's roughly $24,000 more per year. Sounds like a lot. Sounds like it should cover the gap. Now do the ratio. Californians earn 32% more. But the median home costs 265% more. Not 32. 265. So for every extra dollar of relative earnings a California household makes compared to an Iowa household, the house they're trying to buy has gotten roughly $8 more expensive. Every raise you get here is a raise the housing market already ate before it hit your bank account. My brother's raise last year? It went into his kid's college fund. My raise last year? It went into rent going up $400 a month. Same raise. Different countries. And I still hadn't found the number that made me actually close the laptop and go for a walk. Okay. Here it is. The comparison that's been sitting under this whole conversation. My down payment. $155,110. 20% down on the median California home. 9 years of saving. 9 years of not right now and maybe next year, and I'll go to that wedding but I can't afford the flight to the bachelor party too. What that same $155,110 buys in Iowa, nearly 3/4 of the entire median home in raw cash. Put 20% down on an Iowa home instead, just $42,480, and you have $112,630 left over. Translate that leftover. Over $100,000 is a brand new pickup truck, a fully furnished nursery, and roughly a year and a half of an Iowa household's full take-home pay just sitting in a checking account after buying the exact same ownership stake in a house. Or put it in life year terms. My down payment, at the median Iowa wage, is worth about 2 full years of a worker's gross income. My brother, working the same 40 hours I do, could save what I saved, and instead of putting 20% down on a starter home, he could almost buy 2 entire Iowa houses outright. Now let's zoom out to the monthly. On an $820,000 California starter home, with 20% down, at today's rates, the monthly mortgage payment lands somewhere around $5,200 a month before property tax and insurance. That's a monthly payment. Every month. For 30 years. Translate it. That $5,200 is more than the entire median Iowa household earns in a month after taxes. My mortgage payment, alone, would be my brother's full paycheck. He'd have $0 left for groceries, for gas, for his kids, for anything, and he still wouldn't have covered what I owe the bank for the roof over my head. Remember the $155,110 I opened this video with? Here's what it actually represents. It's not a down payment. It's the price of admission. It's the cover charge California quietly puts on the door before you're even allowed to start the 30-year race to own something. And there's still one number left in this comparison that I haven't shown you yet. The one that made me stop feeling angry at my brother's smugness and start feeling something worse. Because before I get to that last number, I already know what a lot of you are typing in the comments right now. And you're not wrong. But the answer to your objection is going to take this video somewhere I did not expect it to go. Here's the objection. Yeah, but California pays more, has better weather, better jobs, better schools, better healthcare access, better everything. You get what you pay for. I hear it. I've said it. For 9 years I told myself that exact sentence every time I signed a rent check. And on the surface, it holds up. California's economy is massive. Tech wages here are real. The ocean is right there. The produce section in a California grocery store looks like a different planet from a January grocery store in Des Moines. But here's the data point that breaks the trade. California's effective property tax rate is around 0.7%. Iowa's is around 1.33%. Sounds like Iowa's getting punished, right? Higher rate. Except, 1.33% of a $212,400 house is $2,825 a year. And 0.7% of a $775,549 house is $5,429 a year. The Californian with the lower tax rate still pays roughly 92% more in actual property tax dollars every single year. Which is another way of saying, even the tax break isn't really a tax break. It's just a smaller percentage of a much bigger number that still lands harder on your bank account. So the you get what you pay for logic starts to crack. Because you're not just paying more for the sunshine. You're paying more for the sunshine, and almost double in raw tax dollars, and triple in the down payment, and triple in the mortgage, and the more you're earning to cover it all doesn't scale anywhere close to fast enough. Which is what finally forced me to ask the question I'd been avoiding for 9 years. The question is this: what am I actually buying with the extra money I earn here? Because the story we tell ourselves in expensive states is that a bigger paycheck equals a bigger life. And the data just doesn't back that up anymore. What a bigger paycheck actually equals, in California, is permission to keep participating in the housing market at all. Nothing more. The extra isn't extra. It's the entry fee. So here's the framework. 3 numbers. Write them down for your own city, right now, before you make your next big move. Number 1. Your local median home price divided by your household's gross annual income. If it's under 3, you're in a normal market. If it's between 3 and 5, you're stretched. If it's above 5, you're not buying a house, you're buying a lifestyle payment plan. California is sitting at 7.8. Number 2, your monthly housing cost as a percentage of your take-home pay. Under 30% is healthy. Over 40% and you're one bad month from a real problem. Number 3, and this is the one nobody calculates, how many years of savings does your down payment represent? If the answer is more than 5, you are not saving for a house. You are subsidizing someone else's mortgage while inflation eats what's left. Run those 3 numbers on your own city tonight. Because I ran them on mine. And the answer produced one final figure, the one I've been circling this whole video, that reframes what my brother's phone call actually meant. It's not that he bought a cheaper house. It's something else entirely. Here it is. My $155,110 California down payment is not a milestone. It's a receipt for the 9 years of net worth I handed to a state that gave me weather in exchange. Screenshot that one if you want to. Let me close every thread. That opening number, the $155,110, that's 20% down on a $775,549 median California home. In Iowa, putting down 20% on a median home leaves you with over $112,000 in cash sitting untouched in your account. My milestone is his house plus a massive liquid nest egg. The hidden number I promised you in phase 2? It's this: for every 1% more California households earn, the housing costs 8% more. That's not a premium. That's a treadmill running faster than you can. The California is expensive story isn't a lifestyle line, it's a wealth transfer mechanism moving future net worth from renters to landowners every month, whether you notice or not. And what my brother's phone call actually revealed, the thing I couldn't put into words at the top of this video, is that we didn't grow up in different tax brackets. We grew up in the same house, went to the same schools, worked the same 40 hours. He moved 1,600 miles east and I stayed. That single geographic decision, made at age 22, is now worth well over $500,000 of lifetime net worth swing, and climbing every year I stay. 9 years. 1 zip code choice. $500,000. Now, the tease. Because if you think the California to Iowa gap is brutal, wait until you see what happens when I run the same math on the state that quietly has the worst income to housing ratio in the entire country. It's not California. It's not New York. It's a state most people would guess is middle of the pack, and the number I found for a specific city inside it is 12.6. Not 7.8. 12.6. I'll show you which city, and why the people living there don't even know they're trapped, in the next video. For the comments, I want a specific answer, not a vibe. Run number 1 on your own city tonight. Median home price divided by your household gross income. Drop the ratio and your zip code below. I'm going to pin the highest one I find. And if it beats 12.6, we're making a whole video about your city next.